booties for black girl nerds.
This show is wild. It is a wild premise. At first, when they were in the auditorium, I was like, she's right upstairs. Why aren't they looking at her? And I was like, oh, okay. So tell me, we'll start with you, Peyton. Tell me kind of what it was like reading the original premise and wanting to get into the role of Maddie.
I mean, I loved the premise. I feel like for so long, for a few years, we were all just watching the world kind of pass us by, and I felt like it was a really relatable concept. And I just also love the character that Maddie is, and I cared so much about her as a person, and I wanted to play her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Nick, you've kind of made a little habit of playing queer characters from the 90s.
I know.
Tell us about what it was like to kind of step back in that role and what kind of sets Charley apart.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is I think, and thank you for bringing this up, but yeah, no, I think so. Dramarama, that character, it is in the 90s, and we see him be that closeted character. And I think that when Charley was alive, he was that character as well. But on the flip side, we get to see him when he is out, and he is this proud queer character, and how he goes about with his queerness in that regard too. So it's kind of like we get to see both sides, which is special, I think. I know, and it's the exact same year too. It's 1994. Yeah, I know.
Weird.
Yeah.
I love it, and especially when we kind of see the lost love in the halls every day, and it's just like, oh, how are we going to connect them? So I'm very looking forward to that. And Rhonda, when you were kind of told about excuse me, I'm sorry, Sarah.
No, I love that. Keep going.
I didn't even question.
I didn't either. I was like, yes, that is me.
Right. You're like, yeah, that's me. When you were told about Rhonda, and she kind of has a very interesting personality, but she has a lot of heaviness when it comes to her expiration. Tell us what it was kind of tackling that character.
When I got sent the character description, I was so excited. Just, I've always wanted to play someone from another era. The 60s, so cool. I was really scared though that I wouldn't be believable being so cool. So jury's still out. And yeah, she's so tough. Like I think in high school, I wish I was more of her, where I was just like, I want to be friends. So I wish I was cooler. What? How to tackle that? I don't know. I think just learning more about her, and every time Nate and Megan, the creators of the show, would tell me more about why they wrote her, who she is, all these things about her backstory, the more I sort of was like really drawn to her. And it felt very personal and really heartbreaking, and kind of makes sense the more I'd learn about her, why she is the way she is now. That, she was murdered by someone she trusted, and why it makes sense why she's so closed off now and so over it. She's been there 60 years, and yeah.
Well, we kind of have these parallels between Maddie has Charley and Rhonda, who originally it's kind of like oil and water, but then, you start to see that you have more in common. And then the living world where she has Simon and Nikki. So what is that like in terms for Maddie being able to kind of move on? Is this something that she sees, or is she like, no, I have to figure out about getting back? Or is it a mixture?
I think she has to figure out how to get back, and there's no moving on for her. She doesn't want to move on. There's just so much that still is alive and needs her at home, like her mom and Simon and her whole life, and she just can't move on yet.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But finally, each of you, if you were to unfortunately expire, where would you want to spend a large chunk of time?
Switzerland.
Oh, beautiful. We should go.
That'd be nice.
The water looks so clean.
There you go.
Peaceful.
Sounds lovely. And how about you, Sarah?
I spend a lot of time in nature. Like I go to the woods by myself a lot. So I feel like I pick the most beautiful woods. Like I love Salt Spring Island or upstate New York, like outside of Woodstock or Phoenicia is one of my favorite. Like I want a cabin there. So I think if I was to expire, I would have a farm and live on it
There you go. I like that. And you, Nick?
I think I would choose the Bay Area,
Love.
where I'm from.
Yeah,
Yeah, and where my family all is. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm a city girl. I need I need
Yeah,
like modern day
I can
comforts.
run to a forest for a couple of
Yeah, I'm
days,
gonna have
but
to
I
take
need
back my
to.
answer, guys.
Well, Switzerland has a
New
little bit of
York.
everything
You're
I
here.
know, I
like,
was
this
thinking,
big
can I
city
say
of
New
Switzerland.
York? But like,
Yeah.
Oh my God, imagine.
yeah.
Midtown would be stuck.
Well, not
I
Midtown.
feel like you
Guys,
chose
why don't we
Midtown.
just move to these
Why do
cities
you-
we want to go to?
I'm going to. This is my plan.
Why
It's
don't
too
we-
expensive. We can't
Yeah.
live there, but we
I
can
know,
die
we want to
there,
live
and that'll be
everywhere,
very
and I
fun.
guess that.
I'm gonna get that cabin.
We can watch YouTube videos.
There we go.
There we
That
go.
Fireplace one. We watch a fireplace.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the fake. Yeah.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much for
you.
taking
Thank
time to
you.
talk with me today. Congrats on the show. I wish you guys
Thank
the
you.
best.
Thank you so
Stacey.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice to
I
meet you.
I hadn't heard about the show, but then I saw that, Peyton was in it, and I love Nick Pugliese from Dramarama, and I was like, we
Oh,
got to figure out, we got to get into this. And so it's such a unique premise, and it was made from a book, right? Did you to originally write the book? Tell me about that process of going from the book to the show.
yeah. Well, our process was a little weird, Stacey. We originally wrote this as a pilot. So we wrote it as a television show, and we were young writers just trying to break into the industry, and not much had happened with it. And so we were approached by somebody who was interested in maybe trying to shop it around as a graphic novel. We said, sure, we'd love to keep this story alive. So we did, and we ended up partnering with HarperCollins, and we're going to make a series of books with them with this premise. And shortly thereafter, Paramount reached out, not knowing about the graphic novel. They just found the script from years ago and were
Oh,
looking for
wow.
content and met with us, and we were like, oh, well, do you know about we wrote a book. And so quickly thereafter, we all sort of got into cahoots and decided to make a TV show. So it was a little bit of a circular process, but yeah, we're so excited that both of those things are going to exist this year.
Awesome. Well, Oliver, I'll kind of go to you. How did you get involved with the two in terms of becoming the showrunner?
I just met these two people. Who are they?
Yeah.
I'm taking off the
This is right
street.
here.
So I adapted a graphic novel for the same executives at Awesomeness and Paramount. It was for HBO Max. It didn't go forward. They called me and said, "Would you read this?" And I read it over the weekend. I was smitten with the premise, like you. I thought it was original. I loved the idea of a central character who was that disconnected. I had two teenage sons who had lived up in their bedrooms during a pandemic and had gone back to school wearing masks, and one had grown 6 inches in his bedroom. I mean, it was a really interesting time. And I thought that the show, the invisibility element, the death element, the uncertainty, all tapped into something that this generation right now, these teenagers are feeling in ways that we did not, even in 10 years, even when I did, Pretty Little Liars 12 years ago, when we started that show.
Oh my God, was it
Cyberbullying.
12 years ago?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
no.
This
So,
is 12 years ago, yeah. But that was cyberbullying, and that was when smartphones were just landing in teenagers' hands, because we had Blackberries in 2000, So this, I think, also touched on something that was resonant. Excuse me, I have a cold, so I sound terrible.
okay.
Resonant and relevant, that these young people were sitting in a circle looking at each other going, I don't even know why it happened, but I'm not here anymore. I mean, I was plucked out. And some of them get to cross over and some of them don't. Some of them sit in detention the rest of their lives and don't even know why. What is their unfinished business? So Maddie's story to me was, I just thought this was a really great premise for a series. And I always love a good mystery because I love the twists and turns. But I also think, having listened to my kids talk, that they didn't know who they could trust anymore. There was something weird about this, being covered. There's something really fascinating that it's like to go back to high school and not know who's laughing, who's smiling, who's not.
Right.
There's something weird, and I think the show tapped into it. And I just said, I'm definitely interested.
And for you, Megan, tell us about the idea of Maddie being kind of the nucleus of the show and it revolving around her. What is it about her character that makes her fit that so well?
I think something about Maddie that's really important is she's kind of a great amalgamation of Nate and myself. And I think that it's so interesting to take a character who has all of their walls up and then slowly have this incredible supporting cast around them kind of peel back those layers and help them find a way to reach out. I think that's as much her journey through the story as solving her mystery, is opening herself up to help, opening herself up to these people. And I think that she's just such a fun mix of strength and vulnerability.
Mm.
And that's so true of so many teenagers, whether they want to admit it or not. They're trying to be who they think the world wants them to be, while also wanting to be recognized for who they really are. And I think that's a difficult and relatable and really beautiful moment in life. And I think that we wanted Maddie to sort of encapsulate that.
I love that answer, and I can't wait for more people to see the show. I think it's really fantastic, and it's going to hit a lot of people. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you
taking
so
time to
much.
talk with me
Stacey,
today.
thank you so
Yeah,
much.
So nice to meet
Yes.
you.
Take care. Nice to meet
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
I want to talk all about Wally.
All right,
'Cause-
let's talk about him.
right? He's a little unassuming, but you can kind of see the way that he's going to grow and kind of integrate himself into Maddie's afterlife. Tell us more about him, more about what we're going to come to expect from Wally.
You've seen TV shows before. That's astute, apt analysis. Yeah, no, he doesn't, he kind of presents himself as the 80s jock, the stereotypical 80s jock in the first couple episodes. And, he's definitely interested in Maddie. He's excited to have a new person around, and he obviously wants to get to know her better. But I think as the show goes on and you explore Wally, you realize that he's very multi-layered and he has so many different aspects about him that you wouldn't necessarily expect. It's really interesting because doing a murder mystery, they don't want to tell you as the actor really much that's going on, because they don't want, they want you to know as much as the character knows.
Right.
And I sort of hopped on this project not knowing what Wally would become, and just trusting the writers. And as I grew, Wally grew, and I got to figure him out as I went. And he has so many aspects of his life, before death and after death, that I totally relate to. And it was really easy for me to, nitpick these little aspects of my life that made sense with him. And he was awesome to play. He's just so fun. I like him. If he was real, he would be my friend for sure.
He's very good-hearted, and it's really fun to see him really kind of, really want to make Maddie feel at home, even though home is this very kind of metaphysical, interesting place.
Yeah, he's a very kind-hearted person, and I'm very grateful that I was able to play him for that reason. And also, he's been in this situation before. We don't really get to explore that in this series so far. We'll see if we have a season 2. I don't know. But you don't get to see how he reacts to being dead. You meet him 40 years after he's been dead. But, he's a sympathetic person. He knows what it feels like, and he absolutely hates seeing a friend in need and feeling confused and sad like this. So he absolutely wants to help her on her journey.
What was the research into the 80s of it all like for you? Because you mentioned, 40 years ago, and I was like, wait, it wasn't that long ago. Oh no.
Yeah,
but
it was the best studying I've ever done. It was the most fun research I've ever done. I'd seen many 80s films before, the classics like The Breakfast Club and whatnot, but I never really took a deep dive into the music of the 80s, and I absolutely fell in love with it when I started listening to it. I made a Wally playlist that I would listen to. I listened to it when I was offset as well, just walking through Vancouver, because it's just a great soundtrack to your life, I just love the sounds that the 80s produced. And man, Wally was lucky that he got to listen to that stuff, and I'm lucky that I get to listen to it too. And I would always listen to it on the way into work, because it just got me into the Wally mindset so quickly. But
very cool vibes. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, of course, if you were to unfortunately expire in a place of your choosing where you're going to be, stuck for a while, where would that be?
I was asked this question earlier and I had no answer, and I was thinking about it, and I thought, okay, the most important thing for me is that I'm with my friends, people that are going to keep me company. So if I have that option, I'm killing them as well so they can hang out with me. And I would want my dog there too. The thought of killing my dog is really weird, but I want him with me too. And the place I would choose would be a theater somewhere, like a theatrical theater with a stage, and watch musicals and plays all day and have them constantly rotate and see new things all the time. I love live theater more than anything, and I would be completely content watching that for eternity.
I think that is a very fun question. And it's like, yeah, you might as well have entertainment as much as you can for the rest of your afterlife.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me about this show. I think your character is fantastic. I really hope we do get to see more growth and see kind of what happens with Maddie. So check it out.
Me too.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you guys to see that. Thank you so much for taking this time with me, Stacey. Black Girl Nerds, I love you. And I can't wait for you guys to get to know Wally a little bit more.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Congrats. I have watched the first 3 episodes of this show, and it is intriguing. And your characters, especially Claire and Xavier, they're a little duplicitous. There's some secrets being had. Tell us, starting with you, Rainbow, what it was like kind of embodying this character and getting involved in the show.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it. She is head cheerleader. She is swim team captain. She's very ambitious, very confident. She's also very mysterious, has a lot of layers, has a lot of secrets, and a lot of she's very cunning, I think.
And how about you, Spencer? What was it like getting involved with the show? And tell me about your character.
Yeah, the audition process was really cool. I remember the write-up for the character said Xavier's the kind of dude who based his whole personality off of James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, but he fell asleep 5 minutes into the movie. And I think that kind of sums him up. He's, he's got a lot of walls, and he's kind of hard to read, which is maybe due to his father. And I think the only person he let those walls down for was Maddie.
Well, it's interesting because we see that even though that relationship is something that works, there are some holes in it that lead to some other revelations that we see within the series. When it comes to the premise of the film and where we're going to see your characters go with Claire and with Spence, what do we have to look forward to as viewers?
I mean, our relationship is a complicated one.
It's definitely complicated.
No doubt about that. I think that there's a lot of baggage and regret that Xavier holds, and before he can kind of move forward with his feelings, which in my opinion are true towards Claire, he's got some reckoning with himself to do.
And do you think Claire is as in it as Xavier is?
I think so. I think she really, really cares and wants the best for Xavier. I think he's struggling with all of this, as you would. It's death of a loved one is of course very hard, and I think that she tries to help him because she sees how much of a weight it is on him.
And of course, with the premise of the film, we have to ask, where would be your ideal place to die and get stuck for a while?
I had this question before, and I still love it. I still really love it. Disneyland.
Oh, there we go.
In a haunted mansion.
Such a good answer.
Ooh.
It's such a good answer. I don't think you could top that.
Yeah, Disneyland. See,
Fast
I'm gonna
pass.
go Disneyland, and It's a Small World. That's maybe I'm just torturing myself with that answer.
I think so. Listening to that over and over again.
Yeah, that might be a little tough. But I think if you did like Disneyland, I think you get it all. You get California Adventure, you get it all.
Yeah.
Well, I am really looking forward to more people seeing the show. It is so fun, and it's very like I'm ready for the next episodes already. And you two do a fantastic job. So thank you for talking with me today.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats.
Hi, love your
Hello.
background.
Thank you so much. We had to represent today. We are
Love it.
talking about this gem of a show, and I especially love your two characters, Simon and Nikki, where y'all are the best friends, the besties, but there's some tensions within the friend group, and particularly because one of them is missing, presumed dead, but maybe not, and kind of. So tell us, starting with you, starting with you, Kiara, tell us about basically your character's approach and to the season and trying to figure out what happened with Maddie.
Oh my gosh, my character is like, I would say the beacon of hope, because Simon was over here trying to like trump down all my suspicions, because I was like, no, she has to be out there. Maybe she ran away. Maybe trying to come up with all these scenarios that could have happened besides the one of being dead. Because why would I want my friend to be dead? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was just the whole season trying to figure out ways and clues and what she could do to try to get her back. Yeah.
And Kristian, you kind of have this connection with Maddie that no one else seems to have. Tell us what it's going to be like kind of navigating that throughout the season.
I think that even though he can speak to Maddie, it is kind of alienating because he cannot express or seek out help. If he wants to tell someone what he knows, they're going to think he's lost his mind. So he kind of has to go on this journey solo and have his own self-doubt of whether or not what he's actually seeing is real. So he can't really seek out his friends, assistance. So it's this complicated, very delicate journey for him that's quite frustrating.
Mm-hmm. And of course, if you were to suddenly expire, uneventfully, where would where would you want that to happen? What would be the ideal place?
Gosh. I mean, if natural causes?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
natural causes. I think I would want to be surrounded by family. That's where I would want to be. That's where I would be most happy.
I'd wanna suddenly expire on a movie set, so I could hit him with the punchline and be like, I was acting and I died for this.
Yes.
And, I also just love film sets. It's like a playground to me, all the lights and the PAs. It's a good environment.
Very hustling and bustling. I like it. So, this show does have kind of a unique storyline, but I think that there's more to it in terms of the relationships that make it stand out. For you, Kristian, what would be something that makes this show kind of stand apart from other shows in this genre?
Well, in the terms of relationships, it would be Maddie and Simon's friendship is very unique. I can't find that in other shows. The show in a whole has different genres. We say that it's genre bending. There's comedy, a little piece of cake for everyone, right? But to me, what stands out is that people are resistant against male and females being friends. There's always some kind of sneaky intention there, and he really is her twin flame. They love each other. They met at such a young age to where they have different identities. They don't dress the same, they don't talk the same, but they're close. So I like that we can have a friendship that is genuine.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I love that. And how about for you, Kiara?
I think for me, what stands out the most, it's really like the relationships with the families and like the dynamic, for example, Maddie and her mom, Xavier and his dad, and Simon and Maddie. It's all these different relationships, parental or the teachers or just friends, and like just real life stuff that happens. So like he said, it has a little comedy, a little supernatural, but it's just like there's a rawness to it that I don't think is in other shows right now that are refreshing and things that people can resonate with.
Well, I love that you said that there's a slice of cake for everyone. And I think that encapsulates this fantastically. Thank you two so much for taking time to talk with me today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better better shake your booties for black girl nerds.